Good morning and welcome to Saved Not Soft, a Holy Not Harmless podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Baker, and this podcast is designed for women that are called to lead, build, steward, and create without shrinking, burning out, or confusing obedience with passivity. I am so excited to be here with you guys this morning, and I just want to first say thank you so much for my first 10 downloads. I'm shocked. I'm excited because I haven't even launched. I haven't even really announced it to anyone, right? And I've already had 10 downloads. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys and say thank you for the support, and also just take a moment to kind of reflect like, wow, like what is happening here, right? Like 10 days before I did the podcast, I had the idea. I decided to go with it, being kind of not sure, am I really the person like to do this job? Is this really what you want me to do? Like, I'm not sure, right? But I'm gonna do it anyways and see what happens. And this is what has happened. So I just wanted to share that with you ladies, like just as encouragement, and also it's motivation for me. It's inspirational, just to keep showing up and being here, because I'm growing as a Christian too, right? By no way, shape, or form am I perfect. And I am not, the most versed person of the Bible. I'm not the strongest at comprehension. So I'm someone that has to go back to it over and over. And I found that, because I do it in the morning when I wake up, as I've incorporated it into my schedule, over the years, as I've grown, I've been able to interpret it better and really understand what it means. And so I know this podcast is going to even just make that double 10x that, right? And I'm so excited to just go down that road and just like learn more and just share more. And I think it's so cool. So just wanted to set the stage before that. And, it's the perfect kind of setting stone for this episode. And it's kind of funny, it's all clicking to me now, because the purpose of this episode, the topic is, stepping into the role that God has prepared for you, even before you feel ready, even when you're scared, even when you're uncertain, even when you're insecure, even if you feel judged, all of those things. So we're gonna reflect on a very powerful book and a very empowering woman of the Bible. I was so empowered by reading this story, and I hope that you are too. Okay, so today, a lot of us are waiting, on more clarity. We want that more confidence, more confirmation, right? We want and you know what I'm talking about. We want like the signs, and especially I feel like we really want the signs or the perfect opportunity or the right time. And the problem, I think, sometimes happens when we think too much, right? Like, you get ideas of what you think it should be versus letting go of those and letting God download on you, right? What's coming to you naturally? Like, what keeps spinning the block? What does make you scared? That might be a sign, right? Not a sign to retreat, but a sign to keep going forward. What if that was really what fear was for, right? What if it wasn't to make us scared, right? Fear not is one of the throughout the Bible so many times. I think it's one of the most phrased, fear not, right? But yet we let fear dictate so much of our lives today. And the crazy part is it's fear that is usually never going to happen, or we don't even know because we're not even willing to step out and see. So I hope this story inspires you to step out on fear no matter what. Okay, and today we're going to talk about Queen Esther. Yes, Queen Esther. She is amazing, okay? But she wasn't fearless, okay? She was obedient while afraid, and that's what it's about, okay? Not once I feel ready, I'll move. Once I feel ready, no. readiness is going to come after you're obedient. Like, I feel more prepared ever for this episode and this podcast right now because I asked God to help me, and also I'm being obedient, right? I'm showing up, I'm being consistent. Look how consistent God is. When you think about consistency, it's crazy. And I got like, I was reading something the other day, like God is so consistent. Like the sun comes up every day and the moon comes every night, like without a shadow of a doubt. Like think about that type of consistency. That is consistent. So it's kind of like, the law of reciprocity, when you just have that awe moments of like, wow. And then it kind of makes you want to be more consistent, right? So let's talk about a little bit of the context of Esther's story. Okay. So let's talk about what was happening. This was a time, okay. This is a time when like one of the biggest nations, richest, largest nations ruled, right? And at the time, King Xerxes was the reign, okay? And a little bit of backstory, there was a queen, Vashti was her name. And, in short, Xerxes set up some things for her. She wasn't really feeling it, didn't come when he called. And so he decreed her and said, you could never be in my sight again. And so after that decree, there became a nationwide beauty contest for the next queen. And among all the queens, all the girls and it was every single girl had to go. Like, it doesn't matter where you're from, whatever, you had to go, and they were going to judge you based on your beauty. And Esther was an orphan. Okay. She had no parents. She was living with her uncle Mordecai, and she was removed from everything familiar. She was Jewish. And at the time, those people were in exile, right? So, but she was beautiful, right? She was so beautiful. And King Xerxes, he was fond of her, and so he chose her. She became the queen. She didn't volunteer. She probably had no idea. Like, really, if we really think about it, like a woman, even without her mother, probably not so sure, right? Not so confident. She's young. Her people are exiled, like probably the most uncertain. She probably thought like, yeah, that's not going to be me. And boom, it's her. Okay. And it was crazy. But at the time, there was a lot of things going on. And just because she was the queen, it didn't make her exempt from the fact that she was Jewish, right? And there's a moment in the story where she's called to approach the king uninvited, which it's very clear that if you do that, you can be put to death, okay? You have to be invited by the king to come in his presence. But at this time, her people were in trouble. At the time, there was a man named Haman. And Haman had a little scuffle with Esther's uncle Mordecai, who was also a Jew. He would basically, in short, he didn't bow to Haman. And so Haman ordered the extermination of the Jews. At this time, Esther, she was their only hope, right? This was the only option that they had. And she was scared. She was frightened. She did not want to do it, to be plain. Like, she didn't want to do it at all, right? But her uncle, he said some things to her that were so powerful. He said, you know what, Esther, if you don't stand up in order to save us, someone else will. And you're still going to be here with your family. That moment, she realized that, yeah, he's right. Like, God's plan is going to prevail with or without us. I know it can sound kind of like, cold, but it's true. And it's not a matter if that plan is going to go out. If the matter is, are you going to step in at the time? And in this story, God has prepared these very little moments that all line up. and it just shows it's not just about being in the right place. It's about recognizing God's providence placed like that. It places us in specific moments at certain times to fulfill his divine purposes. So are you willing to step up, lead, and take action? Like Esther, even when it was overwhelming. When Mordecai said that to her, he also says, for such a time as this, and that's Esther 4:14. Mordecai challenged Esther to really see the purpose too of her role, see God's providence and fulfill his purposes, and to see that it's not just about being the queen. It was the purpose behind it. It was to free her people, right? To be that peace, right? God was using her, and she had to be willing, right? And so do we. We have to be willing. And so what she did, she ordered her people. She said, go back to the people and tell them all to fast for 3 days. We're going to fast and we're going to pray, and I'm going to do the same. She made a decision to surrender to his plan to save her people and for the greater good of God's purposes, right? And she said, if I perish, I perish. That was her attitude. So after her fasting, after her prayers, and it was time to go before the king, she was scared. She was super scared. But she had a different conviction about her. Like, that line is something that sticks with me. And honestly, I'm going to adopt that because I just think it's so cool. Like, if I perish, I perish. Whenever you feel scared, you should say that. If I perish, I perish. And it doesn't have to be like so literally, but that's the worst that can happen. But she was willing to do it. And it's like it's actually like a mirror of what Jesus did for us, right? It's like following that example, because she kind of did the same thing as well, right? Like, she was willing to be put to death if it meant that there was a chance that she could save her people and, fulfill God's plan and carry it forward, right? And because of her courage, it changed the whole game, right? It was such a pivotal moment and a crucial moment in this time. She saved them, and she, more importantly, was obedient to God. And so she accepted that responsibility. She let go of her need to feel the control and made a conscious decision that, hey, I'm gonna do it anyway. If I perish, I perish. And so I want you ladies to really think about that as you go about your week today. Some things that, this could look like today could be stepping into a new role before starting a podcast before you're ready, right? Starting a business while you're scared, or maybe leaving work that doesn't align with you and not really knowing what your next step is. Speaking up, right? Even when you're scared. Saying yes, even before you feel confident, like saying yes to opportunities and things that come your way, like the blessings that God has given you, are being open to receive those, right? Being open to receive is a skill, and it's a shift, right? So fear in this story is obvious. It's not a stop sign. And like I said, it's the confirmation that the assignment matters. So if you're scared, it's actually a good sign, right? If it scares you, it's good. And I feel like that's God letting you know, like, yes, let's go. It's in your gut. Okay. So I want you ladies to make a decision this week to do one small thing, one small thing that requires courage, not confidence. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be everything played in place, all the steps laid out. No, just one obedient move that you can make next, not the whole plan. And then let God show you the next step. That's what it's about. You're never going to see the whole plan. It comes in steps, right? And you have to take a step, and then He will show you the next step, right? Your word is a lamp unto my feet. You're showing me the way as I go, right? But you have to take those first steps. So I want to ask you guys some questions, and I want you to really think about these and go deep. And this can help you think about where and how to move this week. Okay, so where are you waiting to feel ready instead of being willing? What decision keeps resurfacing that you keep praying around? Decision, and if fear wasn't the deciding factor, what would you do next? We're going to end this in prayer. God, we come to you not asking for an easier path, but for the courage to walk the one you've already revealed. We thank you that fear does not disqualify us, that hesitation does not cancel the calling, and that you partner with obedience and not perfection. Where we have been waiting to feel ready, teach us to be willing. Where we've been praying for clarity, show us how clarity comes through movement. Give us discernment to know the difference between wisdom and fear disguised as patience. Strengthen our resolve when obedience feels costly. Steady our steps when outcomes are uncertain. We release the need to control results and take responsibility for assignments you've placed in our hands. We choose courage over comfort, movement over delay, trust over fear. And like Esther, we say yes, not because we're fearless, but because you are faithful. Cover the woman that is listening right now. Sharpen her discernment, strengthen her backbone, and remind her that you don't have to, that you do not call the unqualified. You qualify the called. We move forward in faith, not waiting for fear to leave, but walking with you through it. In Jesus' name, amen. If this episode resonated with you, if it made a shift for you, I would love to hear it. Or if also you would love to share a moment of courage that you have this week, I would also love to hear it. Thank you for listening, and I wish you well on your week. And remember this line when you feel the fear. If I perish, I perish.